Hey guys, unfortunately the collab didn't really work out. The proper timing for finishing the videos wasn't really there between our channels, but I decided to finish this video anyways because the Norman conquest of southern Italy and Sicily is pretty interesting, at least to me, so I hope you guys enjoy this. And as always, sources and timestamps are below as well. Just a fair warning, I tried to simplify this as much as possible, but medieval history is convoluted as hell. In the year 999 AD, Sicily was under the complete control of the Muslim Emirate of Sicily, which was an autonomous emirate originating from the far larger Fatimid Caliphate. Around this time, Saracens from the Fatimid Caliphate came to demand their overdue tribute from the Prince Guaimar III in Salerno. Luckily for the prince, a group of Normans just happened to be visiting there as a stop back from their pilgrimage to the Holy Land. And while the prince was collecting the tribute for the Saracens, the Normans ridiculed him and his Lombard subjects and called them cowards. The Normans then proceeded to attack and break the Saracens' siege, forcing the Saracens to flee and leave the tribute. The prince was extremely grateful and asked the Normans to stay, but they refused. However, they promised to bring back the prince's gifts to Normandy and tell their fellow Normans about the possibility of future military service in Salerno. Now, there are numerous different sources on this event, and many things are up for dispute. But the main effect of this was that the Normans became increasingly more interested and involved in southern Italy, like in the Lombard Revolt, working as mercenaries on both sides. And later, their mercenary service would lead to the establishment of the first Norman land in southern Italy, being the county of Aversa, which was gifted to the mercenaries. Norman control expanded in the region, attracting more Normans to come down to southern Italy, and hijacking the originally Lombard revolt and turning it into a Norman invasion, taking land away from the Byzantines and forming the county of Apula in 1043, owing some allegiance to the Holy Roman Empire. And in 1044, the Normans began the conquest of Calabria. The Normans slowly expanded their control of the region. The Byzantines in southern Italy were under constant fear of Norman attack, and in their desperation, they turned to Pope Leo IX and begged him to attack the Normans, leading to an outcry by the papacy and parts of the HRE to oust the Normans from Italy, with the native Italians hating the Normans. And on June 18th of 1053, the combined forces of the Pope, the most important religious leader in all of Christendom, and mercenaries from the Holy Roman Empire, one of the most powerful empires at the time, attacked the Normans at the Battle of Civite, attempting to completely wipe out the Norman forces, and then went ahead and got utterly destroyed, ending with a destroyed papal army and a captured Pope Leo IX. With the Normans winning so decisively, the Pope acknowledged the Norman conquest of Apula and Calabria for his release, renaming the county of Apula and Calabria to the Duchy of Apula and Calabria. Norman control of southern Italy expanded until they controlled almost all of the southern half of Italy. The region of Sicily previously had 250 years of Muslim control and had a thriving trade network. Sicily was known in the Muslim world as a luxurious and decadent place. The place had become so influential it had broken off and gained almost full autonomy from the previous Fatimid Caliphate and formed the Emirate of Sicily. In 1061, with a blessing by Pope Nicholas II, Robert Guiscard, meaning the Cunning, the Norman Duke of Apula and Calabria, and his younger brother Roger crossed the Strait of Messina and surprised the Saracen army and allied himself with, I'm not even gonna try and say, I'm sorry, this guy, who is one of the rivals of the rulers of the Emirate of Sicily. The initial invasion had little resistance, but they quickly met resistance later on. It wasn't until 1063 at the Battle of Cerami that the Normans had a serious foothold on the island. This was around the time William the Conqueror was off fighting his campaign in England. Anyways, the Muslim capital of Sicily, Palmero, was besieged by Robert in 1072, capturing the Muslim Emirate's capital of the island. And while the conquests were going great in Sicily, the rule on mainland Italy was getting finicky to say the least. While Roger was off conquering up and down Sicily, his older brother Robert was trying to stop his son Jordan's revolt, who was left in charge of the mainland. Roger left in 1083 to help his brother, and by 1085 the two brothers and son finally worked together and continued actually campaigning. Which is good, because there is so much junk to wade through with this. The Norman forces besieged the last Muslim stronghold on the island, the city of Noto, and by 1091 the city surrendered, and the conquests were complete. Other conquests by the Normans included Malta later in 1091 and parts of North Africa. And under Roger's son, Roger II, the Kingdom of Sicily was formed on the Christmas of 1130, with the agreement of Pope Innocent II uniting all the lands under Italo-Norman control. The Kingdom of Sicily was a fascinating melting pot of Christian, Jewish, and Muslim culture. The state actually issued its official documents in Latin, Greek, and Arabic. The kingdom ended up being invaded by Emperor Frederick II of the Holy Roman Empire in 1198. Remember those Swabian mercenaries from earlier? Well, the ruling family in the region came to power in the Holy Roman Empire, and eventually ended up invading the Kingdom of Sicily. But that's a story for another time. Look, we gotta wrap this up, so I'm gonna lightning round the next 800 years of history. So I absolutely sincerely apologize in advance. And if you don't want to hear this holy clusterfuck of exposition, you can just go to this timestamp, because this was a pain in the ass to do. Okay, here we go. So the French come along, conquer the HRE-aligned kingdom. From there, Sicily rebels and gains temporary independence, but is swiftly reconquered. Then the Kingdom of Aragon goes ahead and conquers the French-led kingdoms of Naples and Sicily during the War of the Neapolitan Succession. Then Aragon unites with Castile and becomes Spain. In the War of Spanish Succession, Spain loses the territory to the Austrian Habsburgs. Then shortly after, the Spanish conquer most of the territories back during the War of Port Succession. Spain gains full control of Sicily, but Austria remains adamant but not letting go of the Kingdom of Naples. But Spain, for all intents and purposes, controls it. Austria relinquishes its claims on Naples, but the treaty says the two territories cannot unite into one kingdom. The rulers of the kingdoms were Spanish Bourbons and Austrian Habsburgs, who were obviously against the whole no king thing, who were naturally at odds with Napoleon. And more importantly, given that the Bourbons were the previous kings of France. Napoleon conquers the land that has his brother and later sister rule it, with his brother being labeled the King of Two Sicilies. Napoleon is eventually beaten back and the kingdom gains independence. The mainland unites with Sicily and forms the Kingdom of Two Sicilies, which lasts until the Wars of Italian Unification, uniting southern Italy with the rest of modern-day Italy, bringing us up to the modern-day borders. Minus, of course, the changes from the two world wars. Hallelujah! Holy shit! Whew. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching this video on the Norman conquest of southern Italy and Sicily. I just wanted to let you guys know that the next video coming up will be an update video, mostly on what types of formats I'm going to be trying out, and how I decide on each video that I make. That should be coming out soon, so I'll talk more about the channel in the update. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, love you guys. Bye!